tell me about the article.
Well, it started out as this fluff piece about tourism in Bangkok, but I don't think the magazine is going to like the angle that I'm taking because everyone immediately commented about how rude the smog was, that it was like shock to the lungs, like the second that you...
Hello and welcome to the video review of Uncharted 4 here on GamesRadar.com. I am Andy Hartup, Executive Editor, and I'm joined by Leon Hurley, who reviewed Uncharted 4 for us, the lucky man.
Yes, I did. Yes, I've played all 16 hours of it. Well, that's how long it took me to play. And yes, it's good. And it's good, but it's not great. And I feel like the internet will immediately go, "You hate my game, you bastard!" Blah 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 blah. It's not. It's a good game. It's better than most things you'll play this year. I just don't think it's quite 10 out of 10, and I don't think it will be on any kind of Game of the Year lists.
Okay, so let's start by saying, what does it do really, really well?
It's fantastically pretty, like jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Like from the vistas, the world. Like you look around, pan the camera, and it looks beautiful, and the facial animation is incredible. Like, there's moments where the characters, like you see the muscles move under their skin, or like a little tightening around the eye, and for a second you're like, that's creepy, that's really eerie. It also is the most refined mechanically. I think there's some really lovely traversal stuff. You use a rope to swing around. There's like these kind of shale slopes that you slide down, so there's lovely bits where you'll be sliding and you'll be thrown out into the air and you have to throw the rope and grab yourself at the last minute, swing across to the other side. The combat's much more refined now, so there's big open areas. Instead of like kind of fighting through a linear corridor, you'll go into almost like a hub area, and there's a lot more.
A bit like Tomb Raider then.
Yes, yeah, and there's much more options for stealth now. I mean, you can if you want. You can go in there, shoot an exploding barrel, throw a few grenades, create chaos. There's a jeep you can drive around in some levels. You can plow through, driving through guards doing that, but they have stealth grass, and you can sort of tag enemies like you would with Far Cry.
Stealth grass.
Stealth grass, yeah.
Stealth grass as opposed to... Well, it's just longer grass.
It's just longer grass, yeah.
But
there's patches of it scattered around, and you'll get into it, and you'll be able to tag the guards, and you'll work out, well, that one is on his own there, so I can get that guy, and that I can maybe go around and get that guy. And you can like 100% stealth whole levels. You can ghost levels, which is quite sasatisfying.
Okay.
But when it goes wrong, it doesn't feel like you failed. It's like, and now the shooting starts.
So more options. That's great.
Yeah.
So what does it not do so well? Because you're a little bit hesitant to come out and say it's the greatest game ever.
The problem is it doesn't really start until about 5 hours in. The first 5 hours or so, I say, are all kind of like prologue. There's a lot of backstory stuff. There's a lot of flashback stuff. It's basically does about 5 hours of really hard work to establish Nate's brother Sam as official canon for the game. And once it kind of stops doing that and you get to a certain point in the game and you're treasure hunting, and then it feels like Uncharted. And I feel like you could get rid of all of the Sam related and flashback levels, would cut maybe 5 or 6 hours out of the game, make a 10-hour game that started with treasure hunting. You could have Nate, Elena and Sully treasure hunting. You don't need Sam at all. He's completely superfluous to requirements. I feel like Straley and Druckmann felt like they had to make their mark, so they've shoehorned this character in and all this kind of emotional baggage from the past, and it adds nothing but a 5-hour kind of rambling, he's been here all the time. Honestly, we just never spoke about him for 3 games.
So do you think that throws... Because one of the things that I particularly love about the Uncharted games is the pacing of the story. Like, it's consistently... It's high octane, and then it sort of goes back down a little bit. Then it's high octane again, and then it takes it up a little bit further, and it sort of escalates. Does Uncharted 4 follow that flow, or is that one of its failings?
Like, it throws out like a very brief like set piece at the beginning. It's not even really a set piece. It's like there's like a bit at the beginning. You kind of like, oh, this is high octane. I'm not really doing that much. Oh no, it's over. And so it's beautiful, spectacle, lovely, fantastic. And then you spend the next 4 or 5 hours kind of trawling through sort of bits of the past and the present day, and establishing where Nate is, and like there's a whole level where you're just in Nate's house, like, and you wander around the attic.
Where does he live?
In quite a nice house. I forget where. I think it's Manhattan.
Okay.
Or maybe that's somewhere else. But anyway, you're in his house, and you sit down, and it's like it's nice and it's sweet, but there's literally like a moment where they're on the sofa, like him and Elena are on the sofa, like eating food and having a chat, and there's all these kind of slightly soul-searching looks in each other's eyes, are we all right, is the relationship okay, kind of thing. And it's like, I want to be jumping out an exploding train. And that does come along, but it does feel like there's a point at which you go, and now the game started, and it's not at the beginning.
Okay. Are the characters as likeable as they were? I mean, you mentioned that his brother you don't really like his brother. I mean, one of the big strengths of Uncharted is even like the supporting characters, they have their own personality and they're likable, unlike in a lot of other games. I mean, how are they in this one?
Sully's great as ever, but he's basically pushed back to being a cameo. So you basically with Sam all the time, and I just don't like him. And it's weird because like Naughty Dog and Troy Baker, who plays Sam, have got like a really good history of making likable, interesting characters. And Sam just feels a bit shifty and untrustworthy. Like every time he's sort of saying stuff, I'm kind of like, I don't believe you. Like I don't trust you. And it feels like if it was a kind of a burning house situation and he had to run in for Nathan or the treasure, he'd come out with the treasure. And there's moments where Sully is there, and every time Sully's there, it's like, that's great, brilliant. And when Sam's there, it's just kind of like, I'm not that fussed. Like, I don't know who you are. You haven't endeared yourself to me. You're not as warm, as likable, as fun. Like, even like Cutter in like 3, was it? He was basically Statham alike. But, it took like a few minutes, and you're just kind of like, I like this guy. I never felt like that with Sam ever.
So, one of the big questions for me is this a significant step up? Like, do you feel that this is a whole other generation of Uncharted? Because 2 and 3, especially on PS3, absolutely fantastic, proper high watermarks for the PS3. Do you feel that this has stepped up a generation in the same way that the PS4 is a generation above PS3?
Yeah, I mean, like, visually, it is absolutely beautiful. There's like bits in it where you're just like, holy shit, and you sort of pan the camera around and you can't believe what you're looking at. And the facial animation is incredible in places. Like there's such a subtlety to it, like say just like a little narrowing of the eyes, little muscles that you don't sort of really think about. You sort of see them flex in the cheek, or like it just looks incredible. And in terms of the mechanics, like say the combat and everything flows much more freely. So you can stealth a guard, you can climb up, you can jump into thin air and then swing on a rope, land on another guard, roll out the way. The flow of it is lovely, but it does, in some ways, it does feel a bit derivative. Like there's bits where it does, and you're going, oh yeah, that was in Uncharted 2. Oh yeah, that was in The Last of Us. And I guess because they kind of run out of ways to do things, but there'll be a collapsing building or there'll be an exploding thing, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, this is that sequence from
another collapsing building.
Yeah, well, no, there's literally moments in it you go like, oh yeah, I've done this before.
Okay. Now, one last thing, multiplayer. Have you had a chance to play it yet?
Yes, played. Played it basically.
Thoughts?
It's good, but like it's good. It works. It's nice. They've got the supernatural elements now, so you can sort of summon like kind of ghostly homing rockets and turn yourself into a flaming genie. And it's really good fun. But no one ever buys Uncharted for the multiplayer.
No one turns up for that.
Like it doesn't hurt to be there, and you'll probably have a bit of fun playing with it. But it won't become. It's not going to become like a multiplayer breakout sensation. It's a fun mode, and it's there.
Okay, right then. It sounds largely positive, but a little bit slow. Could have done with a bit of editing, much like many of Kojima's games. I'll get into trouble for saying that, but there we go. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
Leon, what score did you give it?
I give it 4 out of 5 stars.
That sounds fair enough. Great. Well, thanks very much for listening to us today. If you like the video, give us a like, and if you like the channel, give us a subscribe. For more Uncharted 4 coverage, there's loads more on GamesRadar.com.
You ever wonder, like, different choices, how we might have ended up?
No. I like the hand we've been dealt.